Sometimes we move through life so quickly that we stop feeling our own heart. We rush from one task to the next, from one worry to another, without realizing how much heaviness we are quietly carrying. And then, in that state of hurried living, Allah gives us Surah Al-Kahf. Not as a story, not as information, but as a mirror, a sanctuary, and a gentle invitation to return to ourselves. It is a surah that awakens something deep within the soul. And today I want you to walk with me through its hidden miracles. The miracles not of extraordinary events in the world, but of extraordinary shifts inside the heart. Pause for a moment and look inward. There is a miracle in simply remembering. Sometimes the greatest transformation begins when we allow ourselves to sit, breathe, and ask, what is the state of my heart? This simple question, when asked sincerely, changes everything. And Surah Al-Kahf comes to us every Friday as if whispering, slow down, reflect, realign. Let me guide you back to clarity. It is a weekly reset, a divine reminder that we don't have to live lost, distracted, or overwhelmed. One of the inner miracles of this surah is how it clears the noise inside us. Because we all know that the most difficult storms are not the ones outside, but the ones within: confusion, doubt, fear, attachment, exhaustion. And Allah, in His mercy, gives us a surah that softens storms by shifting the way we see life. It teaches us that guidance is not an event, but a continuous experience. That faith is not static but alive. And that the heart, when nurtured, strengthens in ways we never imagined. Pause for a moment and look inward. Think of the young companions of the cave. Beyond the outward miracle, their sleep, there is an inner miracle we often miss. The courage to choose Allah even when the world pushes the other way. The miracle of conviction. The miracle of saying, my faith matters more than my comfort. That miracle can happen inside you too. Every time you choose what is right over what is easy, every time you hold on to your values in a world of pressure, you experience the same miracle, not in a cave, but in your own heart. And this is the first hidden miracle of Surah Al-Kahf, the miracle of alignment. The miracle of realizing that your heart can belong to Allah even when the world belongs to something else. When you choose sincerity over showing off, honesty over convenience, patience over frustration, gratitude over complaining, you are living the miracle of the cave. It is not about hiding from the world. It is about finding a sanctuary within your soul, where faith becomes your comfort, your safety, your clarity. Pause for a moment and look inward. Sometimes we don't realize how many illusions we hold on to. The illusion of control, the illusion of permanence, the illusion that our success depends only on our effort. And Surah Al-Kahf gently breaks these illusions. It teaches us that nothing in this world is truly stable. Wealth disappears. Influence fades. Youth transforms. Plans shift. The only thing that remains constant is the presence of Allah with you. And when you see life through that lens, your heart begins to relax. The fear you carry loosens. The pressure you put on yourself softens. You start trusting more and worrying less. This is the second inner miracle, the miracle of detachment. Not detachment from responsibility, but from the illusions that weigh down the heart. When you begin to release your grip on things you cannot control, you discover a peace that isn't dependent on circumstances. And this is the kind of peace Surah Al-Kahf cultivates gently, week after week. Pause for a moment and look inward. Surah Al-Kahf also teaches the miracle of humility. It reminds us this through the story of Musa and Khidr, that understanding is a journey, not a destination. That sometimes things don't make sense, not because they are wrong, but because our perspective is limited. How many times have we questioned Allah's plan? How many times have we said, why is this happening to me? And yet, if we could see the full picture, we would find wisdom woven into every detail. Humility is not weakness. It is strength. It is the strength to say, I trust you, Allah, even when I do not understand. This is one of the most beautiful miracles of Surah Al-Kahf. The miracle of a heart that lets go of the need to control the narrative and instead leans into divine wisdom. A heart that rests in surrender rather than agitation. A heart that whispers, you see what I cannot. You know what I do not. And you are more merciful to me than I am to myself. Pause for a moment and look inward. Another inner miracle of Surah Al-Kahf is the miracle of patience. And not just the patience of waiting, but the patience of becoming, the patience to grow, the patience to change old habits, the patience to heal wounds you don't talk about, the patience to forgive, the patience to rise again after falling. Patience is a miracle because it transforms pain into wisdom, delays into strength, and challenges into elevation. Surah Al-Kahf invites us to practice deeper form of patience. The patience rooted in trust, not frustration. The patience that says, if Allah allowed this to touch my life, then there is something within it meant to purify, strengthen, or awaken me. Pause for a moment and look inward. There is also the miracle of light. The Prophet told us that Surah Al-Kahf is a light between two Fridays. This is not a metaphor. It is a spiritual reality. When you recite this surah with reflection, with presence, with awareness, something in your heart lights up. A heaviness lifts, a clarity appears, a direction becomes visible, a confusion dissolves. That light is not simply information. It is guidance descending into your heart. Sometimes guidance does not feel like a loud, dramatic moment. Sometimes it is subtle, a feeling, a shift, a quiet realization, the ability to walk away from something harmful, the sudden clarity to choose differently, the calmness that appears after a long season of noise. That is the light of Surah Al-Kahf working within you. And it is one of the greatest hidden miracles of this surah. Pause for a moment and look inward. Surah Al-Kahf also gives us the miracle of perspective. It reminds us that this world is temporary, fleeting, and fragile. And when you internalize that truth, your priorities begin to change. The things that once bothered you so much begin to lose their power. The things you used to cling to start to loosen. You begin to ask different questions. Is this meaningful? Is this pleasing to Allah? Does this bring me closer to who I want to become? And when these questions become your compass, your life shifts. The miracle of perspective is not about rejecting the world. It is about elevating your place within it. It is about living with intention instead of autopilot, with meaning instead of distraction. It is about choosing what nourishes your soul instead of what drains it. And Surah Al-Kahf gently realigns the heart toward that higher, calmer, clearer way of living. Pause for a moment and look inward. And finally, Surah Al-Kahf gives us the miracle of inner protection. The Dajjal is a symbol not only of a future event, but of anything that deceives, distracts, or misguides the heart in this world. Ego can be a Dajjal. Temptation can be a Dajjal. Pressure, expectations, comparison, all can become mini Dajjals if they pull you away from sincerity and remembrance. But the weekly recitation of Surah Al-Kahf builds a shield inside you, a shield of clarity, a shield of conviction, a shield of spiritual awareness. This is the miracle of protection, not outside, but inside. A heart protected from confusion, from ego, from the pull of the world. A heart that stays awake. Pause for a moment and look inward. Surah Al-Kahf is not just a chapter, it is a weekly spiritual cleansing, a reset, a reminder that your heart deserves attention, your soul deserves nourishment, and your life deserves intentionality. And every time you recite it with awareness, you invite its miracles into your inner world. Miracles of calmness, clarity, surrender, guidance, patience, humility, and protection. When you open this surah, you are not reading words. You are opening a doorway to transformation. And the moment you step into that doorway, your heart begins to shift. Pause for a moment and look inward, because sometimes the greatest miracle is simply waking up to your own soul again. When we speak about the miracles within Surah Al-Kahf, we often think of the extraordinary, sleeping for centuries, the collapse of a garden, the journey of hidden wisdom, the power of a righteous king. But the more you sit with this surah, the more you realize its greatest miracles happen inside you. They are quiet, they are tender, they unfold slowly like dawn after a long night. And sometimes they show up in moments so subtle you might miss them. Unless you pause, breathe, and notice what is shifting within your heart. Pause for a moment and look inward. One of the most beautiful inner miracles this surah gifts us is the miracle of returning. Returning to Allah, returning to your purpose, returning to the version of you that strives for sincerity, humility, and intention. Because the truth is, we all get distracted. We all drift. We all get caught in the pull of dunya, the noise, the expectations, the pressure, the endless comparisons. And Allah, in His mercy, gives us a surah that gently pulls us back, week after week, reminding us who we truly are beneath the layers of hurry and heaviness. Sometimes returning to Allah is not loud. It is not dramatic. It is not a moment of tears or sudden change. Sometimes it is a quiet shift inside, a desire to do better, to pray with more presence, to speak with more kindness, to treat your heart with more care. That desire is a miracle. And Surah Al-Kahf ignites it every time we approach it with sincerity. Pause for a moment and look inward. Another hidden miracle in this surah is the miracle of confronting yourself with compassion. Many people know how to confront themselves with harshness, with criticism, with guilt. But Surah Al-Kahf teaches a different kind of confrontation. A gentle, reflective, spiritually aware confrontation. One that encourages you to ask, what is really happening inside me? What am I holding onto that I need to release? What fear am I hiding behind? What longing am I ignoring? Just as the companions of the cave stepped away from a society that challenged their faith, there are moments when you must step away from the noise inside you. Not to escape, but to understand, to listen to your own soul, to sit with your pain without drowning in it, to sit with your hopes without fearing them, to sit with your struggles and say, Allah, guide me through this. This is an inner hijrah, and it is one of the profound miracles this surah inspires. Pause for a moment and look inward. There is also the miracle of resilience. Surah Al-Kahf teaches that faith is not the absence of struggle. Faith is the strength that grows through struggle. The youths faced oppression. The man with the gardens faced a test of pride. Musa faced the discomfort of not knowing. Dhul-Qarnayn faced responsibility and leadership. Every story carries an inner narrative, requires discomfort. Transformation requires stretching. Awakening requires honesty. So if you feel challenged today, if life is shaking something within you, if your path feels steep or uncertain, know that you are standing in the middle of a miracle. The miracle of becoming stronger, deeper, wiser, and more connected to Allah. Surah Al-Kahf teaches us that resilience is not a personality trait. It is a spiritual gift cultivated through surrender, patience, and trust. Pause for a moment and look inward. One of the most powerful inner miracles of this surah is the miracle of recentering your intention. We don't realize how often our intentions get clouded. Sometimes we act out of habit, not sincerity. Sometimes we speak to impress, not to uplift. Sometimes we give to receive rather than giving for Allah's sake. But when you recite Surah Al-Kahf with presence, something inside you recalibrates. You begin to ask yourself, why am I doing this? Who am I doing it for? What is the energy behind my actions? And when your intention realigns with Allah, your entire life realigns with meaning. Intention is like the compass of the heart. Even if you drift, even if you stumble, even if you fall, the moment your intention returns to sincerity, your path realigns. That moment of realignment, quiet, unseen, known only to you and Allah, is a miracle. Pause for a moment and look inward. Another inner miracle is the miracle of emotional honesty. Surah Al-Kahf invites you to look at your fears without running from them, to acknowledge your weaknesses without feeling shame, to admit your need for Allah without feeling insufficient. Emotional honesty is difficult because we often judge ourselves harshly, but Allah invites us to come to Him with the full truth of who we are. Not perfect, not polished, but sincere. This surah teaches that hiding your emotions from yourself only delays healing. Bringing them to Allah opens the door to transformation. If you have been carrying hurt, bring it to Him. If you have been carrying regret, bring it to Him. If you have been carrying hope that you're afraid to speak aloud, bring it to Him. Surah Al-Kahf teaches us that Allah meets you where you are, not where you pretend to be. Pause for a moment and look inward. There is also the miracle of letting go. Each story in the surah reveals something about detachment from the world, from ego, from the illusion of permanence. Letting go does not mean losing. It means making space for something better, something truer, something more aligned with your soul. Perhaps there is something in your life right now that Allah is gently asking you to release. A habit, a fear, a relationship, a pattern of thinking, an expectation. Surah Al-Kahf shows us that letting go can be an act of worship, an act of trust, an act of spiritual liberation. And when you finally let go of what was weighing you down. You experience a miracle, the miracle of lightness, of clarity, of inner spaciousness, the miracle of finally breathing again. Pause for a moment and look inward. One of the most subtle yet profound inner miracles in this surah is the miracle of spiritual maturity. The kind of maturity that helps you see beyond the surface. The kind that lets you understand that a delay can be protection, that a disappointment can be redirection, that a hardship can be purification. Spiritual maturity allows you to see life through the lens of faith rather than fear. It allows you to navigate challenges with dignity. It allows you to meet blessings with gratitude instead of entitlement. When this maturity begins to grow within you, you start responding to life differently. You respond with calmness instead of panic, with humility instead of pride, with trust instead of anxiety. That shift, quiet, deep, steady, is a miracle. And Surah Al-Kahf nurtures that maturity within the heart. Pause for a moment and look inward. There is also the miracle of quiet strength. We often think strength means pushing, forcing, achieving, doing. But Surah Al-Kahf teaches the strength of stillness, the strength of waiting for Allah's timing, the strength of relying on His wisdom, the strength of stepping back when necessary, the strength of standing firm when it counts. Quiet strength is one of the most beautiful qualities a believer can possess. It is the strength of tawakkul, the strength of patience, the strength of gratitude, the strength of faith. And when you recite this surah, your heart absorbs that strength. It settles into a deeper knowing that you don't walk alone, that you don't carry everything on your own shoulders, that Allah is with you in every step, every breath, every challenge. Pause for a moment and look inward. Another inner miracle is the miracle of awakening. Awakening from heedlessness, awakening from spiritual sleep, awakening from emotional numbness, awakening from living on autopilot. Surah Al-Kahf is a wake-up call, a gentle one, a loving one, but a powerful one. It asks you to examine your choices, your priorities, your attachments, your direction. It asks you to wake up before life wakes you up, to become conscious before consequences make you conscious, to choose purpose before regret forces you into reflection. Awakening is a miracle because it changes the trajectory of your life. One moment of awakening can alter a lifetime of habits. One moment of clarity can shift your entire path. Surah Al-Kahf brings that moment again and again until the heart finally opens. Pause for a moment and look inward. And lastly, there is the miracle of hope. True, deep, unwavering hope. Hope that Allah's mercy is greater than your mistakes. Hope that your future can be better than your past. Hope that guidance is always within reach. Hope that the light within you can be rekindled, no matter how dim it feels today. Surah Al-Kahf fills the heart with hope, not the fragile kind that depends on circumstances, but the resilient kind rooted in Allah's promise. This surah teaches you that no matter how far you feel, you can return. No matter how lost you feel, you can be guided. No matter how tired you feel, you can be strengthened. And no matter how dark the world becomes, Allah's light is always near. Pause for a moment and look inward, because sometimes the greatest miracle is discovering that Allah never stopped guiding you. He was simply waiting for you to slow down enough to feel it.